on, bud? Already learned. Yep, I got it. See, it's counting down.
Once you let her do the other pieces, though, it's closer to the. I know you want to pull it. So they're the ones that make booty.
Free man. We are home, y'all, and y'all really blew me away on the number of people that watched my last video. Y'all kind of blew my socks off. With the posting, y'all know that in our past, we have always shown y'all like things that happen in our family, and that was a situation where I had a gut feeling. I kind of knew what I was about to be stepping into. And of course, I have my phone beside me. I like to document those types of things anyway. But we share, like, right, our lives with y'all. We always have, from farm things to family crisis to funny things to exciting things that happen within our family. Like, we've always done that. So y'all did blow me away by just the amount of people that watched and gave so many encouraging words. It really blessed me. I've read every single comment, the good ones and the bad ones. Mostly of the bad ones, I just deleted them all because I don't have time for that stress in my life. But thank you guys so much. I want to first start off by saying that the amount of support and outpouring, a lot of you guys shared your experiences with us and tips and things, and it was just encouraging time. We have made it home. I want to go back to the very first situations that I was noticing. Jennings homeschools, so he's with me a lot. During school work, he would say, "Mama, I've got to go get something to drink." Well, we all go through different phases in life where we're either out more, sweating more. I really didn't think anything about it at all. I would, of course, let him get up, go get some drink, come back, we would finish our schoolwork. This was really when the red flags kind of started going off, is when we went on our vacation. He really began to have such frequent urination where it was even happened at night during sleep, which is very abnormal for Jennings. So we had an accident in the car. We had, while he was sleeping, 2 accidents while we were there. And then we got home and had 2 accidents back to back. Knew right off the get-go, I just had not yet put those 2 things together yet, that I kind of had my antennas up as a mom. The night that it happened, I mean, again, I've been noticing like he will get water or he'll tell me he's thirsty, but then he come in the bathroom and said, Mama, since we've been back home from our vacation, I can't get enough water. And that's when it hit me like a ton of bricks. I know I had kind of mentioned that a little bit on the last video, but y'all was so exhausted. I really don't even know what I said to the extent that I said it or anything, because I had been up. Colby and I, of course, we got up early that morning. We went through the whole day. We were up the entire night in the emergency room, getting transferred, settled in another emergency room, and then admitted to a room. So we literally got not any sleep at all. I mean, we closed our eyes here and there 5 minutes or so, but as far as to say we were lay down and get an hour nap or 2-hour nap, that did not happen. We were up all night, so I was very exhausted. But that's when it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I did have a glucometer that I keep for emergency purposes. Actually, it was in my car. I keep it with me in case we're around somebody that passes out, or, you know, just whatever the situation may be. So it was a little cheap, just over the counter one. I had got it, took his blood. It said high HI. And I thought, his sugar is probably elevated. So I called one of my other daughters in just to make sure there was no malfunction with the device or anything like that. And I said, hey, look, let me check your sugar real quick and see if I can get a reading. Well, sure enough, hers come up. It was fine, no problem. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to check it again and see what it is. Well, that's when I got the 309 reading. And so I knew that it was high right off the bat. I called a family member, just said, hey, look, I've been noticing an increased urination. We've had increased thirst. Those are things that I've noticed. I'm getting a high blood sugar. I really don't want to go to the emergency room, but kind of what are you thinking? Like, because they come from a medical background as well, but what do you think I should do right now? Like, I want somebody else to help guide me. That's when I decided, let's just go have it checked, okay? In the ER, they can run all kinds of different tests where you get those results back very quickly instead of waiting and having him seen in a clinic early the next morning. And a lot of the clinic urgent care stuff, when they draw this, they have to send labs out and all of that. So I thought, we'll just go to the emergency room. We'll get his sugar down. Hopefully I can get a more accurate reading, because my little handheld one, I actually checked it one more time right when I got off the phone and it said high again. So I knew that the ones at the hospital are more sensitive. The little handheld one that I had is not going to pick up a number over a certain level. And I knew I was kind of dealing with that. We went ahead and went, as soon as we got to the emergency room, theirs registered 580. Which is a very high blood glucose. We went through all of the testings and labs there, discussed our options. Our pediatricians here, for whatever reason, don't really like to deal with diabetic pediatrics. So they suggested we be referred to a specialty center that will be able to look at him more thoroughly. So that's why we were transferred. I personally wanted to go by car. However, because his sugar was so high, we needed to go ahead and get that down. And Jennings has literally never had insulin before. So with that in the back of my mind, I knew it was going to be kind of like a touch and go. They gave him some units to bring that down. But being in the car, I didn't want him to be alone with me and try to bottom out. Plus, he had an IV already, which we still could have transferred him. But I was a little nervous just knowing that he's never had insulin before in his whole life. And he could very easily bottom out on me and go unconscious in the car. So we did decide to go by ambulance. We were in the ER there for a long time. They pretty much redrew all of the labs, all the blood. And we were there for a couple of hours before we were admitted into a room. You know, we did see a specialist there. one that works with Batson that is like their hospitalist. And then we did see one that we will be following up with. They were all nice and did per policy what they were supposed to do. We got Jennings' blood sugar under control. We got all the supplies that we need to take care of him at home. There's a couple of things that just my motherly gut instinct tells me to do. I know that we don't have any immediate family. My parents, Colby's parents, our siblings, their children, we do not have a history of autoimmune disease or type 1 diabetes. And that was the common question that they were asking. Do you have any family history? Do you have any family history? Well, no, we don't. But we were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which I know can sometimes happen. I know it can, okay? But we live on a farm. We're exposed to a lot of different things. And to have an idiopathic diagnosis of, well, here's your type 1 diabetes. This is what we're going to do to keep the sugars down. I began to do a lot of reading, a lot of research, because it just did not make sense to me. That was my bottom line. A lot of you guys were flooding the comments with different things to look at too that my very exhausted brain did not even think about. So I began to do a lot of reading, a lot of research, looking at a lot of different statistics and numbers. When they come back the next morning, I suggested that possibly we run a couple more tests. He already had the IV to draw some blood for a couple other things I wanted to look at. And they basically looked at me like I was dumb. And I had asked her, she said, well, I've never seen that before. So I asked her, this is the primary that we'll be following up with after discharge in a clinic that's up in Jackson, which is where we're going to be going. And so I asked her, well, if you've never seen it before, have you ever actually tested your patients for any of these things? And she said, no. So I was like, well, if you haven't ever tested your patients, of course you haven't ever seen it. But we know that these primary conditions can cause a secondary illness like diabetes. So there are primary illnesses that can happen that can cause an autoimmune response that can trigger things like diabetes as a symptom, a secondary symptom of a primary cause, if that makes sense. A lot of you medical folks, if you can understand what I'm talking about. And so I tried to talk to them about some of those things, but it was like I was talking to the wall, like it wasn't going anywhere. All they knew is high blood sugar, give insulin, high blood sugar, give insulin. Like, and in my mind, I'm going, well, if we find a cause, then you treat the primary cause and you solve the problem and you lose the patient, right? Because we've solved the primary cause of the autoimmune response that has damaged the insulin cells. And it's my hope to find the primary cause, diagnose that, treat for that, and reverse damage. That's my goal. That's what my mother gut tells me. It doesn't make sense to have an idiopathic type 1 diabetes diagnosis when I know that there are other things that can cause autoimmune response to trigger things like pancreatitis. Jennings had been complaining of my stomach hurts. He would say that every now and then, Mama, my stomach hurts. Again, it was one of those things I just had not put all the pieces of the puzzle together yet. And now knowing what I know, I feel like to do Jennings justice, my plan right now is to treat him at home to keep the sugars under control. I want to talk to a functional medicine doctor that will help me dig and explore any other causes that can be causing pancreatitis or could be causing any other underlying conditions that could trigger this. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We will fully accept the diagnosis and learn to live with it and make the best of life that we can. However, it just does not sit right with me. It makes more sense that there could be possibly something as simple as a parasite that he has chronically lived with that is now causing autoimmune responses. And we're seeing kind of a snowball effect of that. Okay, I've done a lot of reading on that. I know it is a thing. We can't dismiss the fact that that is a cause, that could be a cause. And a lot of the endocrinologists that I've already talked with do not want to explore that as a possible cause. So I have a little bit of an issue with that. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I told Colby today when we left, I'm beyond frustrated. I cannot even begin to describe to y'all, because I want to know 100% certain that there is not anything else that could possibly be causing this. And if it's not, and we rule all of the things in the back of my mind out, then I'm A-okay with it. And we are going to do the absolute best that we can with him to give him the best diabetic life possible. However, I am not going to sit back and be told, no, it's this, we're not going to do any extra testing though, and then we're just going to move on forward from here. You're talking to the wrong mama. So with all of that in mind, we are going to move on to a functional doctor who will help us dig for root causes that we can address. And if there isn't any, okay. If there is any, my goal is to treat those, help reverse the damage to Jennings' pancreas that's been done by whatever the root cause is, and hopefully help him heal. If the damage has been done and he is a type 1 diabetic, then so be it. But if there's a root cause behind it, I really want to get that figured out. So, y'all, that is my goal. We've made it home. He's done really well. Y'all, surprisingly, he's done okay with all of the sticks. The finger sticks don't really bother him. He doesn't really like getting the insulin in the back of his arm. I'm going to be honest with y'all. He really has only required the long acting all day because he's ate good foods. He's had the long acting in his body. He has not required anything else as of right now. And it is well after dark. It's about 6:30 p.m. And he has not required anything else. So I'm very pleased about that, happy about that. He has done surprisingly well. The hardest thing for him right now is just with the mindset of knowing I can't go grab any snack that I want. And that has been the biggest adjustment for him right now, is he wants to go back to just coming out and eating any and everything that he wants. Right now, we're working on mentally trying to remind him that his body can't have those things because of the response to that. And when we do eat those things that we're not supposed to eat, then that's when we have to take the shot. Working through all that right now. I just wanted to give y'all an update of where we're at. First thing in the morning, I'm going to be on the phone. I did find a functional medicine doctor about an hour away from me and read all the stuff on his website. I've listened to a little clip he had attached to his website, and I thought, I think you're going to be my man. He is very dead set on finding the root cause. I said it might be one of those things. We are dealing with what we're dealing with, and that's okay. I've said that over and over, and I'm fully prepared to accept that at that point. But right now, I'm not there. And I want to do everything that I can for Jennings to make sure that we're not missing something else, because I know it's a possibility, and I don't want to be told, keep your mouth shut, this is what we're going to do, for the sake of my child. I want to fight for him, be his advocate, and make sure that we're going down the right path. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know that a lot of you guys were so encouraging. It caught us so off guard. I'm honestly, now that I've had a little bit of rest and can think a little bit better, I'm honestly still in such shock. Like I'm in shock. Like there's a part of me that still says, like, I can't believe this even happened. But we're going to make the best of it. We're going to do everything that we can to provide the best for him, and we're going to go from there. But I really appreciate you guys commenting and encouraging and giving us tips, and especially when we were so exhausted. I needed things to think about and places to go read. And when you're exhausted, your brain just does not properly think and process information very well. So a lot of you guys in the comments have said, hey, look at this, or hey, think about this, or hey, read about this. And that was great for me, y'all. So I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. And thank you guys so much for supporting our family and watching our channel. God bless.